Hey everybody, this is Chris DeFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Really happy to have you here today. Now today's episode is brought to you by the ground control Cyclops brewer from Voga Coffee, a truly revolutionary batch brewer. It elevates your batch brew above even your best pour over coffee at scale because it gives you unprecedented control over a wider variety of flavors than you ever thought possible with your batch brew coffee. I have personally tasted the results from this machine and what it's capable of pulling out from just one coffee, and it was just amazing the kind of control that you have. So not only does this bring your batch brew coffee to a whole nother level, but it's also very easy to use and easy to train your staff on. It's won the Best Product Award for the SCA and is used by amazing operators all over, and I think your operation should be one of them, actually. You can go to vogacoffee.com for more information. If you want to set your shop apart, raise the game on your batch brew coffee, all while visually engaging your guests, because this is also a really cool and beautiful machine, then I recommend getting a ground control Cyclops brewer in your store. Again, the place to go for more information, vogacoffee.com. That's VOGA coffee.com. This episode of Shift Break is also brought to you by BARATZA. BARATZA designs precision burr grinders with a small footprint that are perfect for both home and commercial environments. I've been using BARATZA ever since I've been in coffee, and they are just an amazing company with an amazing product. They strive to provide quality, innovative grinders that customers and yourself will find easy to use and ultimately facilitate you and your customers making great tasting coffee. On top of this, you're going to feel really good knowing that you have a grinder that's going to last for years, and it comes with an incredible amount of support from a team of people who genuinely care about you, the end user, and your desire to grind and brew great coffee. So to find out more information about getting BARATZA on your counter in your kitchen or on the shelves of your shop, then you need to go visit baratza.com. All right, everybody. So today we're going to talk about whether to throw away or keep the things that we've collected in terms of income streams over the past months or however long this pandemic is going to last. The question is really an important one because for a lot of us, we are sitting on something that we need to continue that will add to the resiliency of our business in the future, or we're sitting on something that it really is a temporary measure that we will get rid of after this is over. And the question is, how do you decide what that is? Like the first thing that you need to think about is, what is your mission and vision as a company? So not only are we having an existential crisis as small businesses right now, but we are also having a crisis of purpose. For a lot of people, they're reflecting on what it is they want to be doing in the future with their business, if they're able to keep it into the future, that is. So you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of your company? Now, it might have been one thing before this started, and it might be changing now, but I would encourage you to write that down, get that clear, so that you can take what is now and compare it against it to make sense of what you have. Now, some of the things that you might be doing are great for right now, but they won't make sense for you later on. For instance, maybe right now you are batch brewing your cold brew into gallon containers, and that can work now because you've got the people to do it. But in the future, those people are going to be re-employed into their normal places, and you won't have the labor available to be able to fulfill orders for bulk cold brew. Well, that means that you're probably going to want to switch it to something else, right? But here's the thing. Even though you might be throwing that away, I think better than saying that, we could say you're saving it as a potential. For all of these things, I think we should be having a mindset that these are potentially great things to keep doing. You might want to employ somebody in the future to continue doing the batch brewing of cold brew into large quantities. You might want to continue doing curbside service at your bar. If you've got the people that are able to do it. So one of the things, obviously, is the labor that goes into these and how, baristas that don't have normal hours are taking on these line jobs of fulfilling catering orders and batch brews and things like that. So even though they are temporary, they might be great income streams for you in the future. And one of the ways you can decide whether it makes sense for you or not is first to decide if it really helps you fulfill your vision as a business. Now, not all of us have the luxury of just doing things that are fitting with the mission and vision of our business. Some of the things that we do are going to have to make enough money to facilitate our vision in other areas. So you do something that is not necessarily in your wheelhouse. It's not something you're super thrilled about, but you do it kind of like some people maybe love light roasted coffee, and they do a darker roasted coffee because they know it sells really well and it helps them facilitate other things, other projects that they want to do. This is true of private label roasting, for example. In other things where it's not necessarily the most attractive proposition, but you can rest easy knowing that it helps facilitate other aspects of your business. And really, we're chasing after resiliency as a company. So these income streams are potentials for developing resiliency in your business. So they need to be examined and not just tossed away because they are icky or they don't necessarily fit in with your mission or vision. There may be some things that really just won't work because of the labor, for example, or customers they don't receive it well from you. Even now, it's just not working. And if you've taken the time to envision a future where you continue to do curbside service and that future is just full of drudgery and angst and gnashing of teeth and operational confusion and things like that, yeah, you know what? Maybe that's not for you in the future. But you have the skills now to be able to employ that system again. So hang on to your procedures. Put them in a binder and have them as a backup just in case. I think that mainly from this time, we have our tools in our tool belt now into the future to engage in these activities in a more skillful way. See, now that we're acquiring a lot of these new skills and we're developing operations and systems around them, we have these as backups just in case in the future. So we're building our resiliency right now for the future. And rather than, again, just tossing them away because they remind us of a bad time in our history and we just can't wait to get back to normal, no, we need to look to the future and say, let's take this stuff, let's put it on the back burner, and let's have it just in case we need it in the future. Or let's continue doing this. This makes a lot of sense for us. I'm really excited that this is something we get to do continuing into the future. Online stores, for example, are one of these things. For a lot of you, you might not have ever had an online store, but because of this, you just, like Erica Escalante, stayed up all night to create an online store, and now you've got it. Are you just going to erase it now? I don't think so. I don't think that's a wise thing to do. I think what capacity you operate in might change, but keeping something like that is, I think, a no-brainer. So we've been forced into a place of creating some income streams that we probably should have had before. Also, we've been forced to create income streams that we might not need in the future, and that's a, air quotes, need, but we will have the know-how and the operations already in place to do it if we need to later on. So I think the gist of this today is to say, hold these new ways of operating with an open hand. Look to see what kind of resiliency they can contribute to your business. Can they help you facilitate the mission and vision of your business even more so into the future? Are they things that are realistic to just continue doing without interruption? I would take into account all of this because as business returns, and I think it will, and we have to be hopeful and optimistic that it will, we're going to want to have taken the time to plan on what to do with these programs. And we're not going to want to just throw them away. We're going to want to have them at hand because we're finding it very useful right now. How can this stuff be useful to you in the future? That's a good question to ask yourself. So another thing to think about is that a lot of this stuff is created not only to bring in income, but also it helps employ your baristas or your staff that you've been able to maintain during this time. As business returns, it's not going to return right away. It's going to be very slow. So you're not going to just want to get rid of some of these programs that people are taking advantage of. You want to continue them and then walk it back slowly as business returns. So keep it or throw it away. That all depends on if it makes sense for you, your business mission and vision, and if it fits into your operations moving into the future. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that this encourages you to sit down and really have a hard think about what you're doing now and if it makes sense for your business to continue. We need to take some inspiration from this time and continue to diversify, to fortify, and to make more resilient our company. I think this time is really making us more resilient, able to pivot even better in the future. So I appreciate you joining me for this episode. Thank you so much. And I'll see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.